in terms of the class and racial opportunities for higher education?
Well, the impact is quite immediate. We are seeing students struggling to get into classes, to keep up with those classes. We're seeing students holding down multiple jobs while they're trying to get through school. We're seeing students trying to finish their college education in a shorter amount of time, and yet their inability to get into all of the classes they need makes that more difficult. So we're really looking at a generation that is facing great frustration, that may graduate from college with a crushing burden of debt, and that faces a general condition of hopelessness. I think there's some very important questions here also about whether the University of California system will be able to maintain these twin mandates of access and excellence. We are clearly seeing an erosion of access. Now, these are not new issues. Students of color have been fighting around these issues for quite a while in the UC system and more broadly in California, that the doors of the public university have never been open for all. So we see this as a struggle to not only save the university, but to also transform it, to make those issues of access and opportunity central to the struggle, visible to all.
Ricardo Gomez, can you describe the protests that will be happening at UC Berkeley and how you're organizing with others?
So today there's going to be two main actions that UC Berkeley students will be participating in. On campus, there's going to be a march to Oakland, to downtown Oakland, to Frank Ogawa Plaza. And so the idea is that we will walk from UC Berkeley to downtown Oakland, and that different students from K-12 system and teachers who have decided to go on strike for the day will join us, and we will join them, and then there will be a rally in downtown Oakland. And also, Save the University is organizing buses to Sacramento for a rally there. And across the bay in San Francisco, there's going to be a rally at Civic Center at 5 p.m. And so I think really the message here is that that public education is a right, and that we will fight for it in different locales and bring different stakeholders into the fold: teachers, students from K through 12, university students, and just the general public as well.
And Ricardo Gomez, some people have criticized the sporadic occupations that have also occurred at various campuses across the state. What's your organization's perspective on actual civil disobedience or occupations versus just having protests or walkouts?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I personally believe in nonviolence, and I think that the issue is how these things are conducted, if they were conducted in a way that adheres to nonviolence. But I think that's my personal perspective, and I think that the decision to be nonviolent or the decision to carry out actions in a certain way is a personal decision. I think that in the past, different struggles have used building occupations and sit-ins in different ways that have been successful and that have really showed solidarity and power, and student power or worker power. And so I think that those tactics are tactics, and they need to be thought about before they're done. But I personally don't feel that that I'm against any type of tactic, as long as it adheres to the values of nonviolence. I think that when the Wheeler occupation happened on our campus in November, 2,000 students came out in support of that occupation, and there were students who disagreed with it, and there are students who would still disagree with it. But I think if you look at the history of social movements and of successful struggles in the past, you will see that strikes, building occupations, these kinds of things have worked in the past, and I think that as long as they're done in the right manner, that they can be really successful.
Professor Ananya Roy, the makeup of the California student body at every level, the community colleges, the UC system, Cal State system, and how it's changing, and how that relates to, well, Governor Schwarzenegger cutting the Cal grants, some of them up to $9,700 a year to help middle and low-income students pay for college. At first, he had proposed the wholesale elimination of the program. Now there's some funding returning. That and other issues, how the California education system, higher education system, is changing.
Well, we are beginning to look at a systematic destruction of the system of public education in California, and I think we're feeling the effects of this. So yes, much fewer students are able to join the community college systems, to enter the UC system, not only to be able to afford a college education in California, but to even be able to get into college. The community colleges turned away 40,000 students this year. And of course, the K-12 cuts have a huge impact on whether or not students are able to get into colleges that they deserve to be educated at. So we have seen a horrible slide in California's position in education in both the country and internationally. California now is 49th out of 50 states in the number of adults with high school education. Its position in terms of the number of adults with college education continues to slip, and this does not bode well for California's future. So if Californians care for nothing else other than economic competitiveness and job creation and economic recovery, then they have to pay attention to these trends. Many of us care for much more. We care about issues of social justice. We care about equality of opportunity. And when one cares about those issues, one has to pay attention to who is able to get into college, whether education has become a privilege for the minority or whether it is a widely held right.
Well, we will certainly follow these protests today and the whole situation in education in our country. I want to thank you, Professor Ananya Roy, teaching Urban Studies and International Development at UC Berkeley, and Ricardo Gomez, student organizer at UC Berkeley. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. When we come back, we have a debate on BDS, on boycott, divest from, and sanction Israel. We'll be speaking with a rabbi and a Palestinian human rights activist. Stay with us.